Hey, good morning, fam. I want to talk to you real simply this morning about the presence of evil. And I want to bring out into the open two axioms that you need to understand and know that they are trying to and have infiltrated the mainstream in our thinking, in our hearts. First off, nothing good lasts forever. And then there can't be a God if this type of thing happens. Okay, those are the two things that you always hear. There can't be a God if he allows evil and nothing good lasts forever. Well, the reason why I want to talk to you about this is if you understand that the removal of spirituality within people, it allows individuals to not be culpable for their actions. What I'm saying to you is that to deny a person's spirit is to deny their actual humanity. And the influence of things spiritual on individuals, what happens there is you understand what it means to be in the presence of evil and to know what evil actually looks like. So to be deceived would be to say that, no, we're just humans, that there's nothing else going on, that there's not like a other dimension out there that can speak into and cause issues in the human experience here on earth. But that denies basically the spiritual experience that we actually are in and actually and see. That actually was exposed in World War II when, if you do any kind of history lesson, you'll see that the occult was actually very much active within the Nazi regime. And understand too, the National Socialist Party was the Nazis, okay? So these are National Socialists. That's actually what these people are advocating for now when they're talking about socialism. They're advocating for socialist networks and methodology of governance, in which will end up being terrible for everybody because that's just who they are, what they're looking like. Okay, so understanding that the occult was actually active in the Nazi regime, and that's what they actually used to destroy and try to destroy the Jews and anybody else who was associated with Judaism. Okay, so these people were freaking evil, but there was a purpose in it. The purpose was to destroy the actual lineage of Christ and actually to destroy the lineage of salvation. But people just think that it was just like, just coming after one group of people. No, the anti-Semitism that you even see now from some of these freaking crazy ass people in the Democrat Party, that comes and stems from something spiritual. It is a hate for the Jews. It's a hate for anybody else who's involved in Christianity. And you as a Christian, if you're not understanding that your prayer life, your spiritual life in this is very important, then you're going to be fighting this stuff, in the physical, when you understand this is actually a spiritual issue. Which is why you see people who are in Antifa or BLM who are destroying people's lives, coming after their work, coming out, they're shouting them down and doing that type of thing. They're doing that because there's a spiritual issue there, okay? They're also, you saw that one video, that guy that got kicked in the head. You're not doing that if you don't have a spiritual issue going inside of you that actually is demonically charged. That anger, that hate, and this is why I've told you before, if you allow the hate, black people allow the hate for white people that they think is justified to rule them, then you're going to have an issue that's not only here, but it's going to be paid for later on as well. I don't want that hate. I don't want that anger. Which is why I rejected it. I'm a person that doesn't allow that stuff to come into my heart. But that's also too why I reject black liberation theology and liberation theology, because it's all Marxist, and Marxism is based off of jealousy and hate for those who have and against those who have by those who do not have. That's actually what all the Marxism is. It's just basically a bunch of jealous ass freaking people. That's all it is, okay? So let's just keep it real, which is why black liberation theology is what it is. It's just jealous freaking black people mad at white people. That's all it is. That's why I'll never accept it as real theology. It's a freaking heresy. So this is what you need to understand. When those two axioms come into play, where nothing good lasts forever and God couldn't exist because of the presence of evil, what they're saying is they don't believe that heaven actually is possible and that God can't exist because evil is so persistent. Well, it's only persistent when people like you and me don't speak about it, we don't stand up against it, and we don't actually do something about it. And this is why you and our voices coming together and actually saying something and fighting against this thing is so important. We're not only standing against evil, we're standing against an ideology that's based in evil. It's based on taking something from others to give to somebody else. And in doing so, you dehumanize as individuals. That's actually what demonic oppression is people being dehumanized spiritually by a force that can't be seen. And trying to prove that, basically you look at what people were willing to do, like I said, in Nazi Germany. These Nazis were willing to try to destroy the Jews, and were doing so in I can't even tell you how terrible those ways were. But they did it under the guise of the occult. And if you have studied anything in history, you know how much the occult was actually involved in the Nazi regime. But you also understand too why Russia was so impacted by atheism via communism. Because if you allow any type of spiritual practice, it takes the place of the state, and that's actually what the God becomes, the state. The same thing happened in China. The same thing happened in Cambodia and North Korea. The same exact thing. These people who are dictators and totalitarians are looked at as deity, which is why they have to hold their power, which is why they are so easily swayed into doing things to other people. I mean, you look at the Muslims inside of China. Muslims and Christians, they're being literally put into boxcars and shipped away. Okay, there's some real crazy freaking things happening right now, but you need to understand this. Okay, if you are not willing and able to stand in your faith, able to stand and actually hold up what is true about who God actually is in Christ Jesus, and you're, wanting to use the academic terms and sound super smart or whatever, that's your deal. They just kind of sound like a pious jerk, really. But what happens is you kind of separate yourself from the normal individual. I speak in normal terms because I'm a normal guy. I'm not trying to sound like anything else other than what I am. And to speak plainly to you that there is a definite world out there that exists beyond the sight of humans. And that world is having its impact on people, which is why you see people from Antifa and BLM doing things to others which are completely inhuman and which are completely demonically oppressive. And I want you to, I call stuff what it is, okay? I'm calling balls and strikes. These are the things that are happening to the American public right now and that happen across the world. BLM is trying to do all these things to other people across the world. And what's happening is folks across this planet who are really standing up are really seeing that not only do they not want to be ruled by these individuals, but they also are seeing just how debased and depraved these people and their ideas actually are. And I'm calling it for what it is. It's freaking evil. And to stand against evil means that you have to stand, okay? And that's what's actually happening right now. When you see folks who will literally negate the DNC convention, any of the things that are happening in society right now, and are blaming everything on President Trump, what they're doing is they are saying that they are allowing for this type of evil so they can get their own power. You cannot allow that to happen. And you and me, just as a regular individuals, we see it, we're calling it what it is, but you have to be in prayer. The heaviest weapon that you have is prayer. And right now, what I see so many times on my private DMs are individuals who are asking me more about church or asking me more about their faith that they might have grown away from for whatever reason, but now they're seeing that the ever presence of evil is actually there. And they want to know how to fight, but they want to know first off about their own, position with God. And I just talk to them. I said, and you as a Christian, please don't be like, hey, I know that you're an atheist, yada, yada, and now that you're coming back, I look at you, no, don't ever do that. It's always an invitation. Okay, you got questions, I'm here to help. You want to ask some questions, get at your boy. That's all I'm doing. And I'm not trying to point out nobody's faults. I was a practical atheist for a pretty long time, and God allowed me back in without ever there being any sort of shame. And so you, as a person in leadership, as a person who is of faith, you need to not, push that shame on other people. Don't be a jerk, okay? Don't be a freaking jerk. And if somebody's being a jerk to you, if you're asking questions, just hit me up. I'm not gonna be a jerk to you. But here's the deal, okay? Recognize that there's an evil presence out there, and that evil's trying to push itself upon you, the normal individual, and they're trying to do so in a way that is oppressive. And you don't want to be oppressed. You don't want to be shined on like that. You don't want to be lied to. And that's always what these things are. They're always deceptive. They're always lying. And they always have an ulterior motive. When somebody can get in a position of leadership can tell you that they're going to now fix everything after being in it for 50 years, yeah, they're lying to you, okay? And then I'm just tired of the lies. But I'm also tired of people ignoring the truth of what's happening in these big cities across the United States and to black people and how black people are being used. They're always being used. I'm tired of it, and I'm speaking out against it. But I'm also noticing too that when I'm on that couch and I'm looking at things happening in the world, I'm knowing that I'm not the only one that's seeing it. I'm also knowing I'm not the only one that is getting freaking really tired of it and all the virtue signaling. I want to be talked to like a dang man because I am a freaking man. And you are the person that you are an American. Stand up for it and be true about what you believe, about your freedoms. People want to rule you. They don't want to govern you. That's why California looks the way it freaking does right now. On fire, and then also too with power issues. Because we're being ruled by a person that has no clue what they're doing as a governor. All right, so anyway, I don't want to be any type of person that aligns with evil. I'm going to speak it out exactly for what I believe it is. It's a method and means to drive people to despair. That's what their new normal is. That's why they keep screaming on the TV that they want to have control over you and use what you have against you, because these people have evil intentions in their heart. Take care, God bless, and watch out. Because remember, you got to be safe on the streets. And there's more people on that couch who are saying, forget about it. I don't want nothing to do with it. Take care.